Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about the secret to brewing up a sublime cup of green tea. Now before I begin, if you haven't visited us in Green Tea House in Green, Texas, halfway between San Antonio and Austin, come visit us. We'd love to meet you. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell so these episodes come fresh to you, and post a comment. Now normally, as you know, I record these videos at the tea house, but today's a snow day in New Braunfels, Texas. I'm recording this. I mean, this tells you how far ahead I cue my videos. This is recorded on January 21st, on Casey's birthday, actually. And there's snow, so the schools are closed, everything's closed. So, given the fact that our place is named Green Tea House, I thought it's important to do an episode on green tea. So we do monthly tea education classes at the tea house, and it's a way of doing outreach, and it's also a way for tea lovers to meet each other. And back in June 2024, when we were only open, I think a couple months, we had a class on green tea, so everybody got to sample 8 different green teas. But the name of that class was Rehabilitating the Image of Green Tea, because there's a lot of Americans who don't like green tea. And the reason they don't like green tea is they simply haven't brewed it right. But given the fact that we are a green tea house, I think it's important to do an episode on how to brew your green tea correctly. Why is this important? Well, nobody wants to drink a suboptimal cup of tea, but green tea is the healthiest of the 6 categories that come from the tea plant, Camellia sinensis tea plant. And that in yellow, I would say, are the healthiest, because yellow is also 0% oxidized, in that they just have the highest amount of antioxidants, and in particular polyphenols and catechins, these things that fight against free radical damage in the body. So in other words, they fight against disease. So green tea fights against disease more than oolongs and whites and blacks and pu'er, the other 5 categories. And also it's good for your metabolism, it's good for your hair, it's good for a host of things. So green tea, if you're looking just for pure health reasons, should be the tea that we would be drinking the most, in particular the shaded greens, the Japanese shaded greens. What are shaded greens? They're going to shade the tea plant for 3 weeks before plucking the leaves, which increases the chlorophyll in these teas. So most famous ones of these would be matcha and gyokuro. But we should be drinking a lot of green tea. So the way to motivate you to drink green tea, to drink more of them, is brew it right, because you don't want to be drinking something that's bitter. So green tea, since it's 0% oxidized, it can be susceptible to astringency or over astringency, because all tea on some level does have an astringence factor, and that's not necessarily bad. When we talk about astringence or over bitterness, it's because it's overly bitter. And so with green tea, the fact that it's 0% oxidized makes it more inclined to get overly bitter, much more than, let's say, black tea, which is much harder to make bitter because that's 100% oxidized. So the factors that make green tea bitter, I would really kind of focus down into 3 things. Quality of the tea leaves, or the lack thereof, temperature, and infusion time. The quality of the tea leaves. You're drinking Lipton tea bag, no offense to Lipton. You're drinking Lipton or whatever your grocery store has, it's just called green tea, right? It's not even a cultivar. It's not like Dragon Oil or gunpowder or whatever it is, sencha. It's not even like a cultivar green, it's just green tea. You don't even know where it comes from, but just green tea. That's like going to a grocery store and buying a bottle of red wine that just says red wine. So you want to buy loose leaf tea. Loose leaf tea is higher quality. Remember, we've talked about this before in the History of Tea playlist, how tea bag tea was created by Joseph Sullivan, and he was just at a tea auction once, and he just said, look at all this debris that's fallen from the tea leaves, and he just scooped it up, put it in a nylon bag, and that was the advent of tea bags. And so tea bag tea as a whole is lesser quality than loose leaf tea. So that's number 1, use loose leaf tea. 2 and 3 are much more important. So we should do soft brewing when it comes to green tea. And I have an episode here, what's the difference between soft brewing and hard brewing. But in short, soft brewing, if you really want to get a sublime cup of green, and this one I'm currently drinking is Dragon Well, Longjing from China. Brew it short, brew it light. What do I mean? Brew it light, 170. I think most of you guys who are watching this channel know you do not brew green tea at full boil. No. Like Family Feud, 2 big X's. No. It's got to be at least 170 to 180, maybe 185. You can go at the most, depending on the cultivar. But I would stay safe and just be at 170. Even the Japanese green, some of those you can be doing lower than that. So 170 to 180 is good. You got to do it there. If you do anything higher than that, more bitter. Number 2, the infusion. Do it short. You know, you can read. I remember, and then I think I did an episode on this. My family member gave me a bag of Moroccan mint from some Middle Eastern restaurant. They just happened to package tea, and in the instructions for Moroccan mint, it was full boil 5 minutes, and I'm like, no. You need to brew, I would tell you, green teas short. And see, here's the issue with infusion rates, is if you brew it short, you might compromise the flavor because you're not brewing it longer. And this is not just green teas, it's all categories of tea, and you include the tisanes as well. But you're lessening the chance of it being bitter. And so I think really, for me, in my humble opinion, to get a perfect cup of green tea, you want to do a short infusion rate. So to me, I would say no more than 2.5 minutes, but really 2 minutes. And I would say if you're drinking certain greens, especially the Japanese greens, which are more sensitive because they're steam green killed, I would do 90 seconds. There are 60 seconds on Gyokuro, Sencha, Matcha, these things. Just do it lighter, because you're lowering the chance of the bitterness, which makes it so disgusting to drink tea. You're like, just go light. So the flavor might not be as fanciful, but you're lowering the bitterness. And then the way you resolve this is just re-infuse those leaves over and over and over. And I just think in general, if you follow this rubric on green tea, I would say this on yellow, though yellow is not common, but you could really say this about whites and light oolongs, lightly oxidized oolongs. And I would just say, just do them all. Lower temperature, short infusions. I would say no more than 2 minutes. And one of the benefits of doing a shorter infusion is actually less bitterness, if at all, no bitterness. But the other benefit is there's going to be more juice in those leaves for you to reuse those leaves at least a couple more times. So in short, how do you make a great cup of green tea? Use good quality loose leaf tea. Do 170 to 180 on the temperature. Do a 2-minute infusion. Guys, post in the comments. Do you drink green tea? I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care. God bless.